said to ask you about
I was
that.
only one time when I was completely lost, and that's when I had my crash out in Texas.
Yeah, he
I
was
found,
there.
I found out that the commander will not fly when the wings are gone.
What'd you do?
Crash.
I had gotten lost. I was out in West Texas, it's somewhere out around Big Springs, or out there in West Texas, you know. And I just couldn't find myself. But there's not a whole lot out there, you know, not too many lakes, not too many towns,
Yeah,
things that,
not a lot of
I was
landmarks.
navigating by map instead of by radio. So finally, I just decided I had to find out where I was. I saw a field right next to a highway, and so I went in and landed. Well, of course, an airplane out in that part of West Texas was something they didn't see very often, especially on the ground, you know. So the crowd collected pretty quickly, and then among them was the sheriff, just happened to be by that day. He came over and he said, I said, "Can you help me?" "Yeah." "Will you please tell me what part of Texas I'm in?" And then he said, "Yeah." So I got my map out, Rock Springs, I'll never forget. He said, "You're right here." I said, "Okay." So I thought, well, I won't have to report back to Kelly Field, you know, because anytime you made an unscheduled landing, the first thing you did was call back, which is generally something you didn't want to do. And so, well, this time there'd been quite a crowd gathered. And I also found out there's a whole bunch of sheep in that field where I had landed. So I said, "Well, I'll tell you, thank you very much. And will you grab these sheep over to one corner until I can get off, you know?"
Mhm.
Which he said he would do. So I jumped in my old Trumply, I think it was an old BT-2, which was a big old ungainly open cockpit biplane, you know. Got back. Soon I started my takeoff, and that old engine was a nine-cylinder radio, which made noise you could hear 50 miles away. Well, those sheep just started running everywhere. They couldn't keep them in one car. That noise just scared. So I was trying to take off and look this way, look that way, so it wouldn't run over a sheep. And you see, but the grass was about so tall, which this is about the minimum, you know. So I was watching this and watching that to make sure I didn't run over one of those sheep. But when I looked up, there was the fence and there were those cottonwood trees about that far. Well, I pulled back on the stick and the old airplane, it jumped up enough. I cleared the fence. Well, I couldn't get the attitude right. I couldn't get it depressed to accelerate. And the next thing you know, it started going like that.
That's trouble.
But looked out the right wing just in time to see those cottonwood trees remove it and have it back. And when it did that, it knocked the old airplane back over this way, and I looked over, well, some cottonwood removed the rest of them. And an airplane will not fly without wings.
Really?
When I found that out.
Who'd have thought?
So I went through a bunch of them, and well, I got a picture of it, you know. You can't tell it's an airplane hardly. It's just scattered here, an airplane. What really, really scared me was, in that old trailer, it had an auxiliary fuel tank. Most of the fuel's in the wing. It had an auxiliary fuel tank right behind the engine, between it and the cockpit. And what I was afraid of was, if it ripped and that engine was red hot, you know, because it always gets hot on takeoff, you're on full power. But it never did catch on fire. It never did catch on fire. So I guess what's left of that airplane might still be there.
And so what did they do when they found it?
Well, it didn't have much choice then. I had to call them. Kelly Field and tell them, you know,
That's right.
Had a little problem out here. Like be able to send an airplane out and pick me up. But they did.
Where did you spend the next few days?
Well, first place they took me to was the hospital, but I had nothing except some bruises and cuts. No fractures or anything like that, but they always take you in. But I had a dream of an instructor, and he knew how much I loved flying. So when they had the hearing, well, wait a minute, I have to back up a little bit. The first thing I did when I got home, I called Dad. And I called Dad and I said, Dad, I got a little problem down here, I had crashed. And they were just about to wash me out. So he got on the old George Washington passenger train, though, used to run to Washington. He went in to see Virgil Chapman, who was our congressman at the time. And he got Virgil to go to at that time they called it the War Department. Nowadays they call it the Department of Defense. And told him what it was. Well, they got, of course, they'd already put me under arrest at Kelly Field. I was under arrest until further notice. They sent a message back and said, hold him until he recovers and then go ahead and bring him to graduation. That was that. So here I am, big as life and twice as natural.
Them were the days.